It's the Daily Doug.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for being with me today. My friends, on the program today, I am going back into the Daily Doug vault to access a previously recorded reaction. This one comes to us from our Fan Favorites series over on Patreon. Back in September, we were counting down some of our favorite televised musical performances, and we just had to include Light My Fire by The Doors as performed on the Ed Sullivan program. It was quite a fun reaction. It's actually the first time that I've reacted to that song as part of a Daily Doug episode, so it was one that I enjoyed listening to and one that I knew that I wanted to bring here to YouTube pretty soon. And so that's what we're up to today. As far as the Doors are concerned, I have really been interested lately in their music. We've heard previously on the channel Soft Parade, Riders on the Storm, When the Music's Over, LA Woman, and The End. And now we're finally getting to Light My Fire, one of the famous pieces by this band. And yeah, it was filmed live on the Ed Sullivan program, and it was quite interesting to me to see and observe the cultural touchstones that were going off during this performance. And it's one of these windows into time that is just remarkable. So here is my reaction to Light My Fire by The Doors. First up, it's a great way to light the fuse, friends. It's Light My Fire by The Doors. They appeared on the Ed Sullivan television program in 1967. This one comes from Dragon Fan Tim. And Dragon says, Jim Morrison solidified his place as a poetic rebel. Before the band was to perform Light My Fire on the Ed Sullivan Show, Jim was specifically told he could not sing the word higher on air. That is, I've got a bowl ready to go, y'all. So yeah, Jim was told he could not sing the word higher on air. As Robbie Krieger explains, we thought they were joking. Who were they kidding? Wanting us to change the lyrics on the #1 song in America. We decided to just do the song as is, and maybe they would forget all about it. What could they do? After all, it was live television, so yeah, we never played the Ed Sullivan Show again, but we didn't care. John Dinsmore added that Ed was not happy. He was fuming, saying, "You'll never do this show again," after we directly disobeyed his censorship requirements. Jim turned to him and remarked, "Hey, that's okay, we just did the Ed Sullivan Show." I like these guys. They're cool. So this song concludes side 1 of the band's self-titled debut album, which was released in January of 1967. It was then released as a single about 3 months later on April 24th, 1967. The album version is 7 minutes long, while the single version is cut down to less than 3 minutes. And this performance was aired live on September 17th of 1967. Y'all, this is going to be my very first reaction to this song. Although I have heard it over the years, I don't remember if I heard the studio cut or the single version. I'm guessing it was a single version because I don't think I ever heard the album that this came from. So I'll be curious to see what they are doing with this one here, and I'll make sure that I watch for the word higher. We've got Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Dinsmore playing for us. This is Light My Fire from The Doors on the Ed Sullivan Show. Off we go. There he is. Camera angle is interesting. It's low, so Jim looks really frickin' tall compared to the other ones.
It would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. I was sitting there long.
great move.
And you hesitated through the time to wallow in the mire.
It's in between A and F sharp.
I know we can only lose, and our love become a funeral pyre.
And the F sharp goes up to G to A to D major for the chorus. And it's a 5 of 5. 5. Major 2 chord, right? And then move back to A. It's an organ on the bottom, and that's a Fender Rhodes on the top for Ray. I'm not sure what kind of organ he's got playing there. It's a cool progression.
And you hesitated through no time to wallow in the mire. China, we can only lose, and our love
Become a funeral pyre.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night out.
And on fire, it's a brighter chord. It's a really neat effect. Let's pop it up an octave. Good on you, Jim. Flat 3, flat 7 to 1 for that one. That's cool. And that famous way that he stands. Such an interesting person. You just can't help but watch him. Right? There you go. Not too long. And that's our first one. The Doors, Light My Fire, an iconic performance there. A remarkable performance. Just one of those cultural touchstones, right? There's a lot of issues in America that have not improved over time at nearly the rate as we would like, as I would like. One of them is our collective approach to the use of cannabis. And thankfully, we can now sing about getting high because cannabis no longer holds the type of stigma in our society that it did back in the late 60s, right? And one of the more amusing things as a person that was not alive during this era to go back and observe is just how head in the sand Ed Sullivan and people like him were. Rock music was supposed to be a bit rebellious. You know, it's coming from the blues. It's coming from a point of rising up against those in power. It's the music of the people, you know, and sometimes it can get a bit naughty, and that's fine. You know, part of the story of the 60s, as I observe it, was how popular music and popular culture was trying desperately to push the more conservative views of many in power toward a more free way of thinking. And Light My Fire isn't for sure the only song that's talking about stuff like this. There's many other songs that have references to drug use, even. The Beatles. I mean, come on. Strawberry Fields, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. If you go to Purple Haze, there was White Rabbit. Hell, there was even a song called Cocaine back in the day. And it goes to show, I think, how important music can be, popular television can be, radio can be, whenever we make our voices heard, art in general can be in the continuing development of a society. You know, especially when we see overt overreactions like someone like Ed Sullivan was doing. to the Doors back in this day. I mean, the song is the number one song in the country, and they're saying you can't say the word higher. It's not even an overt reference. It's ambiguous at best. And so it's just interesting to me what all the hubbub was about and what they were getting all upset about. And it's in reference to something that we've learned all these years later is not inherently all that bad for society. So it's just an interesting look back into history, a bit of a time capsule. And that's what a lot of these televised performances allowed us to relive as we were watching them on my Patreon video. It's a fabulous video. It's one of my favorite Patreon fan favorites episodes for sure. It's still available, but for now, y'all, I think I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for hanging out with me and taking a look at Light My Fire from the Doors as performed on the Ed Sullivan program. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.